and welcome to UPN.com's live internet talk show for Veronica Mars. I'm Kristin Veitch. I am the resident TV insider for E! Entertainment Television, and I write a column called Watch with Kristin at eonline.com. And I am joined by Rob Thomas, the man, the big cheese of Veronica Mars, the executive producer and creator. And oh my God, do I have questions for you after last night's episode.
Excellent.
That was a doozy. Meg is pregnant?
Yes.
I mean, no one saw that coming. That was a pretty cool twist.
Good. I think there were a few savvy fans who I saw postings from who guessed that she might be pregnant. We had to delay her waking up long enough that she was very ripe and pregnant. We wanted to catch her right at the cusp of delivery.
Wow. So have there been clues that I've missed that have led up to that?
Well, yes, which will become apparent, but they've been very
a little pregnancy
recent.
test strip in the background somewhere with a big plus sign.
We did not have that in the show, but okay. I mean, as far back as why she was so awful to Veronica in episode 1, she knew she was pregnant then. We knew she was pregnant then. Right. So she, and in fact, I remember going on the online boards and reading a couple savvy viewers said there's something more to why Meg is treating Veronica badly, right. More than just
pregnancy hormones.
Yes,
we girls can relate to that. I mean, first she takes your man.
Yes.
Then you got the baby to worry about, and then you get on a bus. I mean, it's not good for Meg at this point.
She had a really bad day.
She did have a very, very bad day. And she woke up at the end of the episode. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And that was different than what I had heard. I was actually on set while they were doing that episode, and I had heard she was going to be smothered by her mother. That's the alternate ending? Is that correct?
That is the alternate ending.
That's very twisted.
Yeah.
Clearly, Meg's parents have some issues.
Meg's parents do have some issues.
Yes.
Without a doubt, which that we've seen a bit of before. They're tricky parents.
Right.
It's some sort of miracle that Meg didn't end up like Sybil.
Right.
But you have Meg, the one who sort of tried to be as perfect as possible for her very demanding parents, and then her little sister who's off at reform school who didn't come close.
Right. So this is not the last we've seen of Meg, I'm guessing.
No, we'll see a little more of Meg, yes.
And how do you think that was for the actress looking at that script, knowing that there were 2 endings? She probably was like, please use the one where I wake up.
Actually, her getting that script wasn't the difficult one. It was her getting the script to number 1 this year, to number 201.
By the way, we're sending you over a cliff.
Yeah, that was the tough one to tell Alona, because she was. We love her in the show.
Yeah,
we hated putting her in the bus, but we did. We wanted someone on the bus to have a personal connection to Veronica, and yet we wanted Meg to survive because we didn't want to play the same sort of scenario that we did last year, where Veronica's friend dies and she spends the year trying to bring it to find justice. In that case, we didn't want it to have that same vibe, so Meg survived.
Right. And of course, we have to talk about Duncan, because this really throws a wrench into his character. He's been a little shady, which we've kind of picked up on in the last. Like, my spidey senses were tingling that something was off with him. We saw Charisma Carpenter's character, Kendall, sort of go in after him, but we don't really know what happened there yet. But has that been sort of leading up to this reveal with Meg, that he's been acting a little off? I assume he knows she's pregnant.
You will
find out. Wow, I've never heard a producer say that before.
You will find out exactly what Duncan knew. You will find out eventually what happened in that bedroom between Duncan and Kendall. These things will reveal themselves.
I personally would like to think he's a good boy, despite what you might have written.
Right.
In my heart, whatever you show, Duncan was a good boy.
Right.
We also had the Buffy girls on last night's episode, which was very cool. Was it fun having them there?
Yeah, we loved it. We haven't shied away from Buffy comparisons. We're flattered by them, and I love both those actresses, and they're both very easy and fun to work with, and so we did a couple backflips to get them in the scene together, but
It was worth it.
Yes,
that was some of the best dialogue, I think, ever on the show. And it's pretty hard to top what you've done before, but some of those lines were hilarious.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's really good news.
And it's nice to see Allison Hannigan being the bitchy one. We don't normally see that, you know? So it's nice to see her claws coming out.
Right, right.
Is Charisma staying on for a while on the
yeah,
show?
we do have her for a few more episodes,
Oh, cool.
which we sort of negotiated for mid-season. We had her originally for a certain number of episodes, but we've so adored having her there that we've got her for a few more.
And I talked to you last week while you're directing. You wrote and directed an episode with Lucy Lawless, and you mentioned that Charisma was in a shower scene.
Yes, we each episode it's the difficult time in the writer's room of figuring how we can get Kendall in less clothing.
Right.
And so we went straight to the shower.
Right.
So and
Pretty soon it's going to be, her clothing's at the dry cleaners and they weren't open.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll start shooting it all like an Austin Powers sequence where we just put props in front of her.
I would love that, actually.
As would most of the crew.
Now, which episode is that Lucy Lawless is going to
Number 11.
Okay,
Number
cool.
11.
And what can you tell us about that?
I can tell you that she plays an FBI agent, and that Veronica has gotten into some hot water. And
how unusual for her.
Right. And she and Sheriff Lamb have some of the most fun scenes in the piece. Lamb has illusions about being an FBI agent that Lucy Lawless's character puts the brakes to a little bit.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's fun stuff. Yeah.
Very cool. And was it nice for you writing and directing an episode?
It was a huge learning experience. I did love it. And I wrote and directed a short film with my own money 2 or 3 years ago. To learn it, to see what the experience was like, because I have ambitions to direct. I really came out of that experience not knowing, A, whether I wanted to do it again, B, whether I actually had any talent in that arena.
Something tells me you probably do.
Well, that was a really difficult experience, and honestly, the project didn't turn out as well as I had hoped. So I had some serious doubts, but I just got the editor's cut of the episode I directed, and I'm really pleased with it.
Oh, good.
And I enjoyed the experience, which I didn't on the short film. I think largely because I was spending my own money and because I didn't know as well what I was doing at that point. Spending the last couple seasons in an editing room and on set had me a little more primed this time.
Right. So it's nice to be out in the action, right?
Yeah. It is, although it was so tough to do because while I was directing, we still had scripts coming in and cuts of prior episodes coming in and casting to do, and so my other job didn't stop while I was directing.
It's a little bit like
it was really
act.
really tough. So if I do it again, I think it'll be one of the 2-season finale. It's either episode 21 or 22 when I don't have all that other work coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we actually have some callers on the line who are calling in from all over the place, and you just lost your earpiece.
I did.
Fantastic. Well, I'll just talk to them then. I'm sure we have a lot of things to talk about. Do you want me to actually grab that for you?
Sure. Where did it go?
Let's see here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to hit a call from California, and we want to find out if Veronica is going to be normal again this year, I believe is the question. Kelly, are you there? Kelly? Hello?
Snap out of being normal because it's hard to like her this season.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. I'm just wondering if Veronica's ever going to stop being normal, because she's kind of gotten a little bit annoying and she's not really the same person we fell in love with last year.
Oh, you missed her sort of edge. Is that what you're saying? You want her to be
Yeah,
better?
it's like she doesn't question Duncan when he goes to visit Meg, and it's just hard to sympathize with her not being an outsider.
She deserves a little bit of happiness, I think.
Yeah, and the only thing that I feel is different from last year is that she actually has some sort of comfort zone in the 09er crowd. I actually don't feel like we're writing her any differently, other than she's a little more socially well-adjusted, although that there are going to be cracks in that as the season progresses. her social life is going to get much more complicated very quickly.
All right. Well, thank you, Kelly. We're actually going to go to Lauren in New Jersey, who I believe has a question about the thing we all want to know about, Veronica's love life, right? Lauren, are you there? Hello, Lauren. I think we lost Lauren. So I'm going to ask you instead. Everyone obviously wants to know about the love triangle, and you have set up quite a love triangle between Duncan, Veronica, and Logan. Is that actually difficult to write, knowing that, you know, there are a lot of people who want her with Duncan, and there are a lot of people who want her with Logan, and regardless of what you do, you can't just leave her happy with one person. So do you feel like there is some sort of struggle there that you have to make sure to mix it up?
Yeah, well, I know that we're constantly disappointing people with the choices that we make.
Pleasing and disappointing, and pleasing and disappointing.
You know, the funny thing is that the thing that I have learned is that everybody, if they had their druthers, if we sort of did an online poll and said, what do you want to happen to Veronica next?
Right.
Is that she would be happy in a solid relationship and that all the perils in her life would be gone. The fans want her happy. They want her happy and they want her problems solved. And yet we can't, it's tough to do television that way. Like the joy is the journey. And so I want everything to be difficult for her. And so, you know, I don't see 5 years of happy, blissful relationship for Veronica.
Right.
I think this is something, the relationship that she's in with Duncan is something that they both angled for and pined for, and I want to see it play out and see what happens to them.
Was that the original plan, to have Veronica and Logan hook up? Because that sort of surprised me.
No. Veronica and Logan hooking up last year, while so much of the series is planned and we sort of stick to this long-term plan, that was a measure of us all watching Kristen Bell and Jason Doreen and just thinking they're amazing on screen together, so let's figure out a way to make that happen. So that was a tremendous left turn for us last year. And honestly, the death of Lynn Eccles was less about us wanting to find a storyline for Logan's parents or something for Logan to go through as a means of bringing Logan and Veronica together. Like, what could we possibly do that would put Logan in a vulnerable enough state that he wouldn't act like a putz,
right?
And also open him up to put him in proximity to Veronica, have him go sort of hat in hand to Veronica and need her help, and so that whole suicide was largely based on how can we get Veronica and Logan together. And
into that bathroom where they had that was a good kiss. That was the first kiss, right?
The first kiss was on the hotel balcony.
Oh, it was the hotel balcony.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So many to choose from. I personally can't choose. We have Rachel in New York City, and you want to talk about last night's ending. Is that right, Rachel? Hello. I have a feeling our phone system isn't working. So last night's ending, there were two endings. One is on AOL.com, which people can go over and see right now. Why two endings?
That's an excellent question. One that I was also asking. I wasn't actually involved in the decision process to do two endings. My partner on the show is Joel Silver, who largely is very sort of gung-ho about how the show is marketed and what we can do to promote the show and how we can get more viewers to the show. And I got a call somewhere midway through the process saying, so what's our alternate ending for this episode? And I was like, what? We're doing an alternate ending? But once I learned we were doing one, it was a hoot in the writer's room to sit around and think, well, what could we do that would be crazy? That we don't actually have to answer the questions for what happens next weekend.
Smother her with a pillow.
Yes, because if you want to know really in the writer's room, what were we talking about as the alternate, like the real alternate to us was, okay, either she opens her eyes, Meg opens her eyes, or she doesn't. Like, that's really where we actually debated and thought and planned. When it became, we're going to do an AOL ending, it became, what can we do that's crazy and far out and fun,
Right.
When I was a kid collecting comic books, Marvel did this comic book line called What If? And there would be things like, what if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four? And they'd do this whole episode just on that, but they didn't have to answer it in the next episode.
Right.
So I kind of viewed it as our chance to do a what if moment.
Right. Very cool. Okay, we have Mary. We're going to try this one more time. Mary in Alabama. And she wants to know about, which I actually want to know, where's Wallace? Hello?
Hi.
Hey.
Yay! It worked. I was beginning to think that, like, another network was in here, possibly the Lost people, sabotaging this, because you never know. We've had some technical difficulties,
Right.
but
We're
coming
making
back.
Lost very nervous. They are shaking in
Oh,
their
hello!
boots.
You're inching up every week. I mean, I've never even heard of that
Right.
show. I don't know what I'm talking about. But Mary, you wanted to ask something I definitely want to know, so please go ahead.
I was just wondering when Percy would be back, when Wallace would be back.
Where's Wallace?
Who knows that he is coming back? Maybe he's not coming back. I don't know. I know that
Mary,
if I...
can you go find him, please?
I know.
Please.
Trust me. Let me tell you. I can promise you this: that all the writers on the show are missing him in the show. And I did post this online because I do want fans to know this. I don't have all of our series regulars for every episode. I just don't get them there. It's a budget thing. So it's not that I'm sitting here saying I don't want to see Wallace in this episode. I want to see every actor in every episode. I just don't get to use them all the time.
Right.
So Wallace, he's out there. He's in Chicago. And eventually you'll hear about what happened to him.
Right. Okay, cool. We have Y Yan, who's actually been holding since before the show started. She's a diehard fan. I can relate to her. Y, are you there?
Yep.
Is it Y
Sorry.
or Way?
Yeah, here.
Okay. Go ahead and ask your question.
What are the chances for a third season?
I hope good. Unfortunately, I don't get to decide that. The network, I think, is pretty happy with our numbers. Pretty happy. That's how I would label it. They were much happier the week that Lost was a repeat and we did our best numbers ever. If we could do that consistently, I feel like we'd be on air till syndication. Unfortunately, we're in that area where I'll tell you this. This is the best thing I think I can tell you. Every day at lunch at my office, or not every day, every other day at lunch, I work out. We have a gym there. And up until a couple weeks ago, I would actually shower in this camping device where you'd actually put a hose up top, and I would shower out in the parking lot of our office building. And this week, I actually spent $4,000 putting a shower in our office bathroom. Now, I wouldn't spend $4,000 putting in an office shower if I didn't think we were going to be there for 3 more years. So I have some confidence. I think we're going to be back. I hope we're going to be back.
And even if the show doesn't come back, you're going to be in that office.
I'm going to be doing something in that office, showering mainly. I think the network would like the numbers to be a little better, but I also think that they're pretty happy with where the numbers are. It could, we could use another 500,000 fans. If you could tell 500,000 friends to tune us in each week, I think it would be safe for 100 episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I personally think there's nothing else to watch on Wednesday
thank you.
nights. I can't imagine what anybody else would be watching.
Right.
American Idol, I believe, is coming on.
Oh, yeah, I heard that rumor.
People just stop.
Yes, please quit.
There've been enough.
Right.
Just kick the habit, okay? Done and done. By the way, we are in the CBS building right now. I'm guessing Les Moonves is somewhere around here. So,
right.
As your number one diehard fan, I'm going to find him before we leave and insist on a season 3. Okay,
All right.
We'll make it happen before we leave today. Okay, Lauren from New Jersey, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here this time. You hung up on me before.
Sorry, we'd lost you before.
Yeah.
I'm blaming
First off,
on
I just
lost
want to say this is, in fact, the best show ever.
All right. Thanks.
I can't get over it. I'm a diehard fan. I love Kristin. I love the cast.
Fantastic.
I also love Leo.
Yes.
Is there any chance of him coming back? Please just say yes.
Yes.
Just say yes.
Yes, I love Leo as well. He's one of our favorite actors. He has his own half-hour show on on the WB on the WB this year. So he's doing another show. We managed to film a few scenes with him in between his shooting days on his other shows. So you will see more of Deputy Leo.
Very cool. And I think it's like a Stephen Bochco sitcom or something. It's Modern Men, I believe it's called.
I don't actually
So that's the show we should not be watching if we want Leo to come back. Just FYI. So we have Julia in Dayton, and she wants to know about a blooper reel, I believe. Julia, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Rob. Love the show.
It's Julie.
Thank you.
Kristin Bell mentioned in a radio interview earlier in the season about a blooper reel that might be available early next year. Just curious if that would be available on your site or.
We did put together a blooper reel last year for the DVD, and we had it cut together, and it just wasn't very funny. And it is. Here's what it is, and I'll tell you this honestly. It's the sort of thing that probably diehard fans would enjoy, but largely it's actors forgetting their lines and people cracking up, and there aren't.
We like that though.
Possibly then on the season 2 DVD. Honestly, it's not a great blooper reel. I would tell you if it were a great blooper reel, if there were hilarious moments in it, I would be the first who would want to put it on there because I do like that sort of thing. But it's your average run-of-the-mill,
right.
I can't remember my line, I crack up sort of stuff.
If only they had a blooper reel for this show. Like the earpiece coming out just as the callers were coming in. I mean,
I'm going to see
that I would watch.
I can tip the chair over backwards here.
Let's make that happen before it ends, should we? Justin in Glen Ellen, Illinois. Hello, you have a question for Rob?
I have a main question, but while listening to your callers, I just had a quick question before my main question. Isn't Veronica Mars, the actress's name, Kirsten Bell?
No, it's Kristin.
It's Kristin? Is it actually pronounced that way?
We take that very seriously,
yes,
I'll have you know.
It is Kristin.
Okay. Yeah. And second question is, when they all, it's such a tight-knit group, and the show is based upon this whole set of characters. This is their senior year of high school. What, since people have been talking about season 3, have you planned for a college
yes.
year, or how do you plan to go about that?
Yeah, we have. We want to send Veronica to college next year. I actually think Veronica, I think there are a lot of high school series that are dependent upon the high school setting, that they work because it's a slice of life, it's coming of age in high school. The thing about Veronica Mars that I think is a bit different is I think it works as well, possibly better in as a college show. I think it gives Veronica a little bit more freedom next year. I mean, one of the lines that's so difficult on this show to walk as a writer is, how much can her father know? Why doesn't her dad stop her? We certainly want to portray Keith Mars as a great parent, but wouldn't a great parent just lock Veronica in a room and make her stop doing this?
Definitely get her a low jack.
Right. But we are planning. We're going to, we played her junior year. This year's her senior year. Next year will be her freshman year in college. And in our next episode, you will get a clue about one of her options for next year.
She's not going to be a stripper, is she? Please.
From that, the only way I can afford Stanford is if they install a pole.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I have a little screen here, and it shows us who's calling. And I'm sorry, we have to take this one. The note is, man wants to know why the show is for women. And that is Lance in Greensboro, North Carolina. Are you there, Lance? Hello, Lance? Oh, apparently he's very upset. It's only for women, and that's why he had to hang up the phone.
I wonder if the question was...
testing his manhood calling in.
Yes, was he saying, why is it marketed to women?
I would guess,
enjoys it?
There are obviously male fans of the show, and I think a lot of times it's assumed that only young females are watching the show, and that is not the case, obviously. There are people outside of that demographic and male viewers. So writing the show, do you keep that in mind, and who are you sort of targeting the show for?
For me, I want to.
You're not a woman,
and I'm not a woman.
Attest to that, yeah.
I want to write a show that I would watch if I weren't working on it. I know we skew female. There's sort of the rule of thumb. Certainly when I was writing young adult fiction, which is what I did before writing for television, what the thing they would say in publishing is if you write a book about a teenage girl, only girls will read the book. If you write a story about a teenage boy, boys and girls will read that story. So there's probably some truth to that in television as well. I mean, I don't think it's a girly show, and in fact, I think of all the sort of teen dramas, we're the least touchy-feely of them.
Veronica's not girly.
Right. We don't. I don't like a lot of what I would call emotional exposition in the show, in which you have characters saying, "I feel this way because," I believe in sort of action-defining character, and we try to do that in the show.
Right.
So I try to write a show that's palatable to guys. I'm a guy, and I dig it. So
the truth is out. Rob Thomas likes his own show.
Yes.
No, but one of the things I actually really like about the show is that, as opposed to Dawson's Creek, which I will admit I watched every episode of, but they talk like teenagers. Do you have a lot of young writers on the staff? Because they're so much cooler than I ever was at that age, but they do talk like teens.
Well, I think.
Are you just young at heart?
All of our writers are in their 30s. I am the old guy at 40. And it's interesting that you say that. I feel like Veronica Mars, certainly in Dawson's Creek, and I wrote on Dawson's Creek, that we were allowed to use this very adult vocabulary that was kind of fun and stylistic. The show that I think actually the teens sound like teens would be Freaks and Geeks, which is a show I admired greatly. I feel like on Veronica Mars we're a bit stylized. It has. I think we come from sort of like the Heathers school of writing, in which we let teenagers say what they'd say if they had a day to think about it.
Right.
Like we do. I mean, we do give Veronica. We give them quips. We let them be sharp, and we try to, in terms of what we're telling story-wise and the actions, we try to keep them very teen in their way of dealing, in the character's way of dealing with things, but we'll let them be a little smart and bantery with the dialogue.
All I know is every time I watch the show, I'm like, God, I wish I was that cool. And she's supposed to be 17. She's 17, 18?
She's 18 now.
No,
she's 18
legal.
now.
Yes. Okay, so Chris in New York has a question. Are you there, Chris?
Yes.
Hi, go ahead.
Hi, I'm a male fan. I just wanted to let you guys know that. And I've gotten a lot of friends at school and my college. They're really obsessed with the show now.
All right.
And I was just wondering if there are any big plans for Mac in the future episodes, like with Beaver or anything?
That's yeah. I mean, we love Tina Majorino, and I think you'll be seeing more of her. I'd love to get her on as a series regular next year. She's really pretty fantastic in the show, and her chemistry with Veronica is great. And she was really great in last night's episode, but last week's episode 8, when they visited the Clemens house, it was just, I could watch those scenes forever. Just so to answer your question, we'll definitely see more of Mac, particularly while Wallace has been away. It's been very easy to work Mac into the stories. But we will continue to see more of her. And I don't think it's the last you've seen of Beaver and Mac together.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that pairing.
Yes.
I want to ask you about Jackie, because I know there's sort of a love-hate relationship that the fans have with her.
Really? Where's the love? Because I
was trying to be kind.
I have only heard the hate.
Okay, so the fans hate Jackie.
Right.
Are we supposed to?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now you're supposed to. I mean, she's certainly. Now I think the fans hate her more than they should, because I actually like there's certain things like when I actually agreed with Jackie in the moment where she had one date with Wallace and she went out with another guy, and I felt like, that should play as no big deal. Jackie's not sneaking
Wallace.
around.
We love our
Wallace.
But nobody does that to Wallace.
That's exactly the point, is
right.
that people are so protective of Wallace, who they adore so much, that, like Veronica, they went straight for the jugular, when I thought what Jackie was doing was very much fair game. Now, certainly what she did to Veronica was pretty harsh. You're not supposed to care particularly for Jackie at this point, but at the same time, I think people have confused not liking Jackie with not thinking the actress is very good, and she is so good. She is so good. So, and I think at least look at her through that light, because I think she's pretty fantastic, and I'd like to see her on screen. In fact, in episode 5, the last episode we saw her in, I just thought, you look back at that performance, I think she's great.
Right.
Yeah.
I personally want to stick needles in her eyes,
but which is fine. Is fine.
But obviously she is a good actress, because if she weren't, I think I would just want to turn it off. Right. But instead, I want to watch every minute, and I'm like hitting the screen.
The funny thing that I discovered, that I had no idea about this, the love people have for Jane Austen, because people ripped Jackie for not liking Pride and Prejudice, like. That was the worst character. Like, if she had pushed a baby off a cliff, it was not as bad as not liking Pride and Prejudice.
Right.
I actually thought it was kind of cool that this young teenage girl wasn't into Jane Austen but wanted to read Burroughs.
Right.
Like, I thought that, to me, that read as, wow, she's cool.
Right.
She doesn't go with the flow, but for the fans, it was
point of no return.
Killer.
She's
Killer.
evil.
Yes.
She's clearly the spawn of the devil if she doesn't like Jane Austen.
Right.
Okay, another male fan. We have Ed in Valley Village, I believe, California. Are you there?
Yes, major props, Rob. Thank you so much for the series.
Oh, thanhanks so much.
And I want you to feel from me how wonderful it is to get shout-outs on the TWOP site. It just so much joy to see every once in a while that the interaction actually means something.
Oh, it does, and in fact, in the I will.
He's talking about Television Without Pity.
Right? Believe me, I'm
no, I'm just saying for anybody out there which is a great site.
We have. I just finished directing an episode number 11, which will be the first one that you see after the holidays, and I put a Television Without Pity shout out in the background of a screen. So look for a moment with Veronica on the cell phone and check out the flyers behind her. You'll see a little TWOP shout out there.
That is so cool. That's very cool. And they're obviously rabid fans.
They are, and in a great way. Yeah.
Do you go on and read fan reactions? Does that ever sort of change what you're doing on the show?
Yeah. I mean, I read fan reactions every week. The thing that I'll confess to that probably doesn't play well with our West Coast viewers is that I tend to read the East Coast postings.
And change it by the time we see it on the West Coast? Oh my God, you move so fast. Wouldn't that be great if you could?
That would be crazy. Honestly, if you're in the first 10 pages of reaction to the episode, I probably read what you had to say. By the time it's on the West Coast, I actually do watch the episode here in LA when it's playing, but I do go on. And there are things, certainly, the fans' reaction to both Logan and, to Logan last year certainly pushes in a direction of having that relationship happen last year.
Right.
There's certainly things but there's certain things like that I've certainly read the fans' very negative reaction to Jackie. I don't quite agree, and B, right. I've got stuff up my sleeve. We got plans. It's going to be fun stuff.
You know what you're doing. I'm not concerned.
We're teeing it up.
One of the things that I actually found really fascinating is that when I was down on set, the wardrobe person told me that they try to keep Duncan in blue and Logan in green because people had been confusing them early on in the season.
Right.
And I know Logan wearing the necklace was also a part of trying to keep those two guys separate in the viewers' minds. Do you feel like that's still a concern, that people aren't kind of telling them apart? Because I have no problems personally.
It's... No, I mean, I don't think any of the Veronica well, clearly none of the fans have trouble recognizing them when they're on screen, but the...
people just tuning in, you think, maybe?
And it is... There are episodes that... and certainly episode 6 was a good example of this. That was a show that was written... I mean, that was for the hardcore fans. It brought back Abel Koontz, it brought back Clarence Weidman, brought back the body of Amelia de Longpre, and we love doing those episodes, and we know that the fans are going to eat it up. Those are the shows that make the network a little nervous. Like, they don't, they want to make sure that we're not just... that we don't just have this small club that we just service this small club, and if you're not a part of it, you don't get to play. So we have to, so there are things like, and the network really certainly harps on us, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but when we first see Dick Casablancas, can you remind the audience that his father flew away last week? And so you have those bits that feel probably to the fans and to us.
Like, we know!
Yes. Do we really have to say that again? And so we try to keep it something where you can join the party at any time.
Right. But I think we as viewers, I mean, I think I at least know there is some of that on every show where you have to explain things just a little bit. And you guys are very clever in doing it in ways that seem sort of seamless, which is good.
You work hard.
I'm sure
to
it feels awkward to you.
There are some. I mean, there's certainly lines. There are. I did read this posting. There was in last night's episode there was this. Veronica is reading sign language and she reads fiend rather than friend. And in the end, when she says it out or says it in voiceover, I missed this one letter. Like I said, I read somebody posted, oh, thanks, we didn't get it. Like you needed to drop an anvil on our heads. And yet...
But people forget that I'm convinced most of the viewing public is like the audience of Jerry Springer. Like, personally, I don't think people are all that smart, so yeah. You probably should tell them there was a letter missing there.
Tend to be, though, I think.
Veronica Mars fans are the coolest fans anywhere, because I am one of them.
Everything. They do notice everything.
Including, like, just back to the necklace for a second, people all last season thought that was a huge thing, that Veronica had a necklace and Logan had a necklace, and they were convinced that it meant something, and then when I finally asked you about it, you were like, no?
Well, the interesting thing that I found out is that Kristin and our wardrobe people did have a whole plan about when she wears a necklace and when she doesn't and why she is. I was just never aware of it. There are certain things that slip by me. So when I answered, I don't know, I think down at the at San Diego at Comic-Con, people took it very seriously. No, wait, there is a logic behind it, but no one told me.
Right. Yes. Well, it's nice when your own people are keeping you in the dark there, Rob. Okay, Lauren's from Toronto. You have a question for Rob?
Yep.
Hello, welcome. Wow, we have so many guys today. I'm very happy about this.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that you have a really big following up here, and I really love your show.
And you're calling from Toronto, is that right?
Yep, from Toronto.
Very cool.
And I was just wondering, is there any single scene or a single episode or maybe even a behind-the-scenes moment that you really, really enjoyed or it's your favorite?
There are, at the risk of sounding like a dope, there are these weird fantasy moments. Like I remember a couple years ago, I'm watching the Emmys, and before they do like the best drama category, they show clips from the 5 shows saying this is, here's a tentpole moment from this show and showing the intensity of it. And I, of course, early in Veronica Mars would fantasize, like, what's our, what moment works
Gotta keep
for
that
us?
in mind.
And I know, there are certainly episodes, I can tell you episodes that I loved and episodes that I loved less, but I remember the first time thinking that we had hit just a dramatic, raw moment that I was really proud of. I think it was in episode 4 last year, and it was when Veronica was saying, you could find Mom if you wanted to. You could go out there. Where Veronica had done a background check on Rebecca James, who Keith was dating, and he lost his temper with her, and they had just the rawest, most real argument. And I remember being very proud of being a drama writer and that our actors could deliver this. And but there, I certainly have favorite episodes. I loved like A Trip to the Dentist last year was one of my favorites. Clash of the Tritons was one of my favorites. This year, I liked number 8, maybe my favorite this year.
That was so good. I think that was my favorite episode ever.
Oh,
actually.
excellent, excellent. I was really pleased with the casting of our Fighting Fitzpatricks.
Yeah.
I was really sometimes I think
Veronica was really in danger in that episode.
Right.
I think that's what really. I mean.
I think I'm not sure that violence is something that our show does particularly well, and so I want. We're not the Shield. That's not our stock and trade. So when we go to those places, it's because we're telling jokes in one scene and then there's violence in the next. It's a tough balance it's a tough line to walk. And I was really proud of the Fitzpatrick scene, and I was proud of the Russian roulette scene, which. Having an actor as good as Jason in that scene also really helps that moment.
He's so good.
Yeah.
He's so good. I want to ask you, since you brought up the Emmys, the Golden Globe nominations are actually coming out December 13th. What can I do if the show and Kristen Bell, at a minimum, are not nominated this year? I'm there for the live nomination show at 5 o'clock in the morning. I think I'm just going to walk out. I think I'm done.
I saw you I got up early and watched the Emmy nominations, and I appreciate you giving us the should have.
Well, I always feel like if they're not going to say your name, I'm going to say it for a good 3 minutes. It's like, somebody stop me. But what can we do?
I don't know that there's anything, bigger numbers would help. Teen shows tend to not do well with the awards, and but the ones I do, if I hold out any hope, it's for Kristen Bell for Best Actress. She's on every critic's list, and actually the Golden Globes, as opposed to the Emmys, has been very quick to reward young actresses. There have been so many that have been nominated and
Carrie
won.
Russell and
Carrie Russell,
Garner, yeah.
Jennifer Garner,
Yeah.
I think Claire Danes, and
Right.
God, more than that. But yeah, there have been a number of young female winners in that category. Right. So I'm hopeful. I would love to get a nomination, and I'd rather watch Kristen Bell than anyone on TV. She's just amazing to work with.
I wonder if there is a little bit of an age bias, especially at the Emmys. Do you think so? I mean, the Globes tend to go a little younger, but...
I think so. I don't think it's a conscious bias. I think it's, here's the membership. The membership isn't teenagers,
right.
So, and I think it's easier to nominate very well-established older dramatic actors and actresses
What?
than.
I'm sorry.
Oh, there's so many. There are great ones. Like Ian McShane. I would watch read the phone book. So there are great people out there. I just think Kristen's as good as any of them.
Well, we're going to do something. So you guys, you fans, come to Watch with Kristen at E! Online, which is my section. We're going to start we're going to send out things. We're going to, picket. We'll find, there's going to be some campaign. We're going to get Veronica Mars at least a nomination for the Golden Globes.
All right.
We're almost out of time. Was there any last thing that you wanted to talk about that's coming up on the show that you can tease to? Give us something juicy. Come on, Logan and Veronica, Duncan and Veronica.
Yes.
Keith Mars. I'll just keep throwing out character names until you give us something. Keith not being sheriff, I was surprised by that.
You were surprised?
And his little missus has been missing. Is she going to be back?
Yeah,
Both misses, actually.
Well,
I should say.
I think we'll see Wallace's mom again. Just not that fight that they had. Even though we didn't really punctuate it with "we're broken up." That was when she implied to Keith that he doesn't raise Veronica right.
Right. He took that a little hard.
They both were a little put out by that conversation. They broke it off romantically from that. But I expect. I love the actress and would be happy the next time we have a Wallace at home moment. Am I giving away that he might be back? If we have a Wallace at home moment, I wouldn't hesitate to go back to her.
Right. Just really quick then, who was responsible for the bus going over the cliff?
Oh yeah, that Deputy Sachs.
Okay, great. Well, now we don't need to watch the end of the season. Perfect. Okay, thank you so much for being here. And thank you all for watching. We fans know it is the best show on television, so keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks you guys. Bye.